and welcome back to Bushbell's Talk Show. I'm your host, Amigala Rosenloff, and today I will be interviewing an American teenager. Can I just come here? Okay.
Hi, my name's Rose. Nice to meet you.
You may sit down.
I just need this little chair.
It's kind of, oh, sorry. Okay, my first question is this. Do you even know what this object is? Obviously not. Okay, it's called Romeo and Juliet. It's a book. And I just have a quick question. How do you feel that the greatest love story ever written is about two sniveling teenagers who die over the effects of puberty, rash, and idiotic decisions?
Oh, Romeo and Juliet? Yeah, so do I like it? Is that what you're asking? Like Shakespeare, he gets us. He gets teenagers. He understands what we're going through, feeling. So yeah, I really like it. He just gets us.
Hardly. I bet he was in a midlife crisis when he wrote that. I'm sure audiences hated a story about two teenagers.
Oh, I know.
I bet they would hate you.
What?
I do. Moving on. Do you have a boyfriend?
Yeah, but you never had one. Your little glasses.
What's his name?
His name's Brian. And he's awesome. I mean, let's see. He's so cute. Drop dead gorgeous guy. The football team you want to see a picture of him? Here. My password's 0 all the way through. Anyway, brown hair, kind of like me. He has brown hair, captain of the football team, kind of the hottest guy at our school.
And I can't, it won't turn on.
Oh my gosh, what are you, like 2? Okay, here he is. That's Brian. Isn't he cute? He's kind of cute.
Wow, yeah, it's just like supermodel or something.
I know.
Sure as a keeper until you find the hotter one. Then bye Brian.
Why would you say a thing like that? That's
oh my god. Do you love him? Do you love him? Do you love Brian?
Well, I'm his girlfriend, so yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, I just feel like you're kind of being, what's the word?
Facetious?
What? No. I just feel like you're making fun of me. Okay?
Sorry. Do you pay taxes?
Oh my gosh, I'm like 17 years old.
Do you work?
Yes. Part-time.
Weird.
At McDonald's, okay? And then I go to school all day. And I see my boyfriend maybe once or twice at night.
Okay, when you told me that I had to interview a teenager today, I kind of wanted to,
Oh my gosh.
and, now I know why. They said it would bring diversity and variety to the show if, I interviewed a teenager. And the whole time, all I could think was, I hope the teenager's gay, because that would make it a lot more interesting. So, are you gay?
I told you I had a boyfriend.
Right. Yeah, I actually, I wrote a love poem.
I wouldn't know about that.
Anyways, I wrote a poem, what I thought about love and maybe with your relationship with Brian. Do you want to hear it?
Not really.
Ha, ha, ha. Oh, honey, He does not love you. He does not love you at all. Never again should he call. Do you like it?
Oh my gosh, what is this?
All right. And thank you so much for joining us on Bushfellows Talk Show. Again, I'm your host, Amygdala Rosenloff. Thank you once again.
It was my privilege to witness a stunning display of both personalities and artworks at a local art convention I recently attended. 3 artworks especially caught my eye. I will introduce you now to the aspiring and inspirational contemporary artists of this day and age. Cordelia Raven. She belongs to the category upon which is plastered the dark label goth. She is a depressed, alcoholic, artistic genius.
And her creativity, it flows through the same bottle she consumes at night, alone, isolated.
When I saw Cornelia's artwork at the convention, she did not offer to sell it, but I told her I must have it for sale at any price, no matter what she asked. She told me, though, it was not for sale, she was saving it for her dead grandmother, who was going to collect it at midnight.
I told her I must be invited to that beautiful reunion. She refused, of course, politely, and gave me a beautiful gift instead of a little rock skeleton.
The little skull of a mouse. We shouldn't have touched that. Next, Dahlia Hazel Aspen. Half hippie, half gypsy. Dahlia was born into a poor family. When I first met her at the art gallery, I could not help but feel she was a radiant beam of sunlight. Through she spends her time more high often than she is not. But if this makes her happy and kind, perhaps we all ought to try it a bit more. James Wilson.
The last artist I met at the convention is perhaps the greatest genius I have ever laid eyes on. He is 13 years old, and he is also mad.
He's insane. He's batty. He's off his rocker. He's crazy. He's mad as they come.
But then, aren't we all?
I was a young, ambitious journalist seeking my next big break. I was faced with the task of writing a local column about the average teenager in a rather prestigious newspaper. I was currently pursuing my story in a fairly mundane city. I had remained on a city bench for many hours while my brain debated on what to write about. For all the hours that I sat there, my brain observed the numerous blurs that passed my vision. The first few blurs that came into distinction were old people. walking so incredibly slow that hot molasses in the summertime would have oozed past them in a race. With their rather dull and cyclical colors of brown, tan, and gray, they walked with their canes and bags of pigeon feed. And as they walked, their minds wandered towards their water bills, taxes, and how they would obtain their next meal. And they heartily scorned the youth that ran past them as though they were chickens with their heads cut off, recklessly spending their parents' hard-earned money and squandering their parents' hopes of ever becoming successful. To the old people, the younger generation fixedly remains in the broad stigma of occupying themselves with meaningless trivialities, video games, and narcissism. And to the older, the young people attempts at mortal validation seem frivolous. Ironic, for they were once young too. On a closer look, I noticed that the other blurs that passed my vision were of bright colors. The young, bustling, conversing adolescents. Half of them I knew wouldn't make it to college, much less graduate high school. Taking after the aristocrats of the olden times, they've created an artificial hierarchy system in which one is ranked upon money, good looks, and popularity. And if none of these qualities should be reached, then you are utterly doomed in the halls of high school. It's an inane system, really, but high schoolers stick to it as though it were the golden rule. And of course, the ones who do not make it to college will be shocked from the start. All previous conveniences and comforts that they had once known will be utterly decimated. A new concept will be begrudgingly introduced to them, a concept that is nowhere in the vicinity of their pampering parents, that the hierarchy system they have so carefully crafted and devised throughout generations will slowly start to disperse over time, that adults have crafted a new system in the modern world. The system? The whole world goes to work for a living. I believe that the latter concept will be the hardest for them to grasp. However, the teenagers that raced past me seemed to possess a certain aroma that the old seemed to secretly envy, because it is through their rolled-down windows driving fast and recklessly on the highway that teens are able to catch a scent of the fresh night air. Of course, it's a scent that can only be obtained while going 75. Regardless, they have caught a scent of how life is truly to be lived, and for a small moment they know what it feels like to be free, and they know what it means to look towards the future. It's a scent that old people have utterly forgotten through the years and their plugged-up nasals. I realize that teenagers seem to live in a realm of ecstatic and dynamic colors. They heartily ignore the old who have forgotten what imagination is, and blow past them with their fire of recklessness. They live in the moment, and all thoughts of bills, taxes, and college forego their eager minds. Some might say it is a rare gift to live in the moment. Who can really blame them for not wanting to accept their fate as obese desk workers? The chemicals that are in their brains drive them to make decisions that rip them away from the safety and comfort of their childhood and into the wilderness of adulthood. Who can blame them for the ways they find to cope with the crazed and transitory time of growing up? A life of healthcare and marriage counseling dawns their fate. Teenagers simply find ways to prolong their destiny. Thus, they throw themselves into the fiery furnace of teenage limbo.
It was then that my racing mind was stopped in its tracks with the sound of a loud tap. An old lady at her window rapped on her shutter with her bony knuckles and signaled me over. She was 80 years old, and the bones stuck out over the sockets of her eyes. There I was, a young journalist talking to an 8-year-old. I realized at that moment she and all old people are stuck in the past, in a world that they think they used to have a grip on before this strange thing took them by surprise. Why couldn't they adapt? Personally, I think it's because the body eventually gets tired of trying to make sense of it all and settles on something that is nostalgic. Old people don't really want to listen. They want people to listen to them. Young people are so concerned with the future. I was itching in my shoes to get on to the next part of the day, interview, story, or whatever it was in the future. Young people don't and can't make sense of their world because at every turn there's something new to want or wish for. People don't really want to listen to anybody. I tried to find my nature for 30 minutes as I listened to her. I willed myself to look at her white hair and wisdom teeth objectively, to put myself in the epoch of arranged marriages at 15 like she told us. I fought my nature and stood and tried to feel in the sun and the trance of her ancient voice. In my mind, I traced only the drop of sweat that eased down my back.
And I gave it everything I had to live exactly in that moment, to live in the only moment that ever matters, the present. And I broke, and my mind screamed for what came next, for the future, and passerbyers broke and were thrust into her past. and she broke when I turned to leave. The trance of the past she'd created shattered, and it was at that moment that I had found the perfect editorial column, the perfect journal entry, the perfect conclusion, which is this: both are needed. All of the times are needed, past, present, and future. All types and forms and ages of people are needed, the young, the old, and the in-between. The vibrant, rebellious teenagers offer the world their colors, and the old and dusty grandparents offer their foundations. And sooner or later they all clash together and play a part in the grand discord that happens when God meshes everything together, when the blue white knuckles rap on the shutter and make you stop.
Is the edition ready?
Stop bothering me.
So why do you hate teenagers so much?